this video, we'll be creating two dashboards using a sample sales dataset. So if you want to get the data and the dashboard file that we'll be creating in this demo, then please put your email IDs in the comment section of the video. Our team will share the files via email. Now, let's begin by understanding what is a dashboard in Excel. A dashboard is a visual interface that provides an overview of key measures relevant to a particular objective with the help of charts and graphs. Dashboard reports allow managers to get a high-level overview of the business and help them make quick decisions. There are different types of dashboards such as strategic dashboards, analytical dashboards, and operational dashboards. An advantage of dashboards is the quick detection of outliers and correlations. With comprehensive data visualization, it is time-saving as compared to running multiple reports. With this understanding, let's jump into our demo. For creating our dashboards, we'll be using a sample sales dataset. Let me show you the dataset first. So here is the sales dataset that we'll be using for our demo. So this dataset was actually generated using a simulator and is completely random. It was not validated, though we have applied certain transformations to the data using Power Query features. So this data, as you can see, has 1000 rows. So using the simulator, we had generated 1000 rows of data. Similarly, if I go on top, you can see this data set has 17 columns. Now let me give you a brief about each of the columns. So first we have the region column. So we have Middle East and North Africa, there's North America, Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and others. Similarly, we have the country names from which the item was ordered. The third column is the item type. So we have different items: cosmetics, vegetables, there's baby food, cereal, fruits, etc. Then we have the representative's name, or you can say this as the customer name who ordered the product. Then we have a sales channel column. So there are basically two channels, whether the item was sold offline or online. Next we have the order priority column. Now here C stands for critical. Then we have H, which is for high priority orders. Then we have M for medium priority orders, and finally we have L, which is for low priority orders. You can see the order date column. Then we have the order ID, the ship date. Next we have units sold, which is basically the total number of units sold for each item. Then we have the unit price column. This is the price at which each product was sold. Then we have the unit cost column, which is basically the production cost for each of the items. Next we have the total revenue. The total revenue is actually the product of units sold and unit price. Then we have the total cost column. Now the total cost column is actually the product of units sold and the unit cost. Similarly, we have the total profit column. So total profit is the difference between total revenue and the total cost. And finally, we have created two more columns, that is order year, and then we have order month. Now these two columns were actually generated using the Power Query features. So we used the order date column, which is this column, and extracted order year and order month. So first, we are going to create a revenue dashboard where we'll focus on generating reports for revenue by order year, revenue by year and region, revenue by order priority, and much more. We'll create separate pivot tables and pivot charts and format them to make them look more interesting and presentable. We'll add slices and timeline to our dashboards in order to filter it based on specific fields. Now let's create our first report to see the total revenue generated each year. So we need to create a pivot table for this. I'll click on a cell in my dataset and then I'll go to the Insert tab. Here we have the option to select the pivot table. I click on this. You can see my table range is selected. Next, I want to place my pivot table in a new worksheet, and let's just click on OK. There you go. So we have a new sheet where I can place my pivot table. So first, I need to find the total revenue generated by each year. So what I'll do is, I'll drag my order year column under rows, and then I'll select the total revenue column under values. You can see I have my pivot chart ready. Now if you want, you can sort this. So from the data you can see we have order year from 2010 to 2017. Now based on this data, let's create our pivot chart. So I'll click on any cell, go to insert, and here you have the option to select recommended charts. I click on this. Now actually I want a line chart, so I'll click on line here and select OK. There you go. So we have successfully created our first pivot chart. Now let me show you how you can format this chart to make it more readable. So first let me delete these. So I'll right click and select hide all field buttons on the chart. So this will delete the buttons present on the chart. Now let me go ahead and edit the chart title. So the title I want is total revenue. I'll type it down by year. Alright. Next, let's do a few more transformations. So if I click on this plus sign, which is actually for chart elements, we have some options like to add axis, axis titles, chart title, data labels, this grid lines, legend and others. Okay, so let's remove the legend now. You can see the total legend is gone. Now let me add axis titles. So we'll label our x-axis and y-axis. So here under x-axis I can write it as year. Similarly on the y-axis I'll put revenue. Okay, now you can move a bit. Alright, now let me select this chart style option and go to colors first. Here I'll select yellow color. Okay, and then let me go back to style. Let's select a new style from this list. I want this style. Okay, now you can also add data labels. So I'll just click on data labels. You can see we have the revenue for each of the years. Now this is not readable at all, so we'll format this a bit. If I click on this arrow, here I have more options. If I scroll down, you can see we have something called as number here. I'll expand this and under category I'll select custom. Now here we'll give a format code which is a bit different. So this is actually a kind of a formula. So I'll write if my revenue value is greater than, let's say, 9,99,000. Let me make sure there are 6 nines here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, we are good to go. I'll close the bracket. I'll give a hash, give 2 commas. So if the revenue is greater than 9,99,000, I'll put it in the format of millions. So within double quotes I'll write M. I'll give a semicolon followed by another hash, and if the value is less than the desired number, it should be 0 million. Let me click on add. Alright, you can see how nicely we have formatted our data, and you see here we have added the new format which is in millions. Alright, now if you want, you can go ahead and adjust the boxes. Let me move this a bit up. I'll delete this. Now if you notice this line chart, you can make a few conclusions. For example, if you see here in 2010, the total revenue generated was nearly 175 million. Now this came down to 150 million in 2011. Then the revenue constantly grew from 2011 till 2014. It reached 195 million. And after 2014, 2014, it again came down to 180 million, and the revenue dropped significantly between 2016 and 2017. In 2017, the revenue was just 96 million. Now before moving ahead to my next chart, let me just rename this sheet. So I'll write it as revenue by year. Alright. Now let's analyze the revenue generated each year in different regions. So for this, we'll create another pivot table. Let me close this. I'll click on any cell, go to insert and select pivot table. I'll just click OK so that my pivot table is placed on a new sheet. Alright. Now this time we want the revenue by each year and region. So first of all, let's drag region to columns. Then let's drag the order year column under rows, and then I'll select total revenue onto values. So here you can see we have the pivot table ready. So for 2010, you can see in Asia, this was the revenue generated. Similarly, if you see for 2013, this was the total revenue generated in Europe, and we have for other years as well. Now let's create a line chart based on this pivot table. So I'll select any cell in the pivot table, I'll go to insert and I'll click on recommended charts. From this list, I'll select my line chart and click on OK. There you go. So we have our next pivot chart ready. So on the right, you see the different regions that are present in different colors. Let me just expand it so that you can see all the regions we have. So in total, we have 7 regions, and each of the regions have been represented in different colors. So if you notice this graph, for the Sub-Saharan African region in 2012, Sub-Saharan Africa made the highest amount of sales. Now from the sample data you can also tell that the revenue for North America has been significantly low compared to other regions. Similarly, if you see for Europe, this was the revenue trend between 2010 and 2017. So if you see here in 2011, the sales were at this level, then it significantly dropped in 2012, then in 2013 there was a huge spike, and then again came down in 2015 and so on. So you can make your own conclusions by looking at these line charts. Now let's format this chart. So first of all, let's delete the field buttons present on the chart, and we'll also delete the legend. Alright, now let me just reduce the size of the chart. Next, we'll add a chart title. So we'll give the title as revenue by year and region. Okay. You can also format the y-axis in terms of millions. So I'll right click on this axis and I'll select format axis. I'll scroll down and here we have the number drop down. Let me scroll again. Under category, I'll select custom and we'll use this format that we created for our previous chart. There you go. You can see our axis labels have been changed in terms of millions now. So let's close this and let me save it. Now you can reduce the font size or increase the font size. Let me just show you. Suppose you want to increase the font size of the chart title, so you just select it, and from here you can either also move it to left or right, or you can place it in the center as well. For the time being, let me just keep it to the left. Alright. Now we'll see the revenue and total cost by each region, and we'll create a combo chart for this. So let me show you how to do it. I'll go to my data sheet. I have my cell selected. I'll go to insert and click on pivot table. Let me just click on OK. Alright. So for this, I'll select my region onto rows, and then I'll have two columns under values. The first one is going to be total revenue, and the next column will be the total cost column. Alright, so here we have the pivot table ready. Now based on this pivot table, let's create our pivot chart. So I'll go to recommended charts, and if you see below at the bottom we have combo chart. So this is the preview of the combo chart. Alright, now let me just click on OK. There you go. So we have a nice combo chart ready here. Now the way to look at it is, the bars represent the total revenue, which is this column. Now the line represents the total cost. So let me go ahead and edit this chart a bit. So first of all, let's delete the field buttons. Alright, and let's also remove the legend from here. Next, we'll add data labels. So I'll click on data labels here. Okay, so these are the data labels for the bars or the revenue column. Now let's format the data labels in terms of millions. So I'll click on this arrow, go to more options. So I scroll down, I have number. From here I'll select custom, and I'll choose my type, that is in millions. Alright, so you can see we have formatted our data. Next thing, we'll add a chart title. So here I'll write as revenue by region. It's actually revenue and total cost by region. Before moving ahead, let me rename the sheets as well. I'll write revenue and total cost. Similarly, sheet 3 also I'm going to rename it as revenue by year and region. So this makes your sheet more readable. Alright, now moving ahead, next we are interested to get the revenue generated by order priority, and for this we are going to create a pie chart. So let's go to the data sheet and create our pivot table first. I click on OK. Now I'll select order priority under rows, and under values I'll select total revenue. So this is a very simple pivot table. So you have your order priority. So C is for critical, H is for high, L is for low, and M is for medium. Now based on this, let's create a pie chart. So I'll go to recommended charts, and here you have pie chart. I want to select this 3D type of pie chart, and I'll click on OK. Alright, so we have our pie chart ready. Let me just resize it, and from here I'll remove the field buttons, and I also don't need the legend, so I'll delete this as well. Alright, now let's give a chart title. So this is going to be revenue by order priority. Now let's add our data labels. I'll check this option. Okay, now let's again format this in terms of millions. So here I'll click on the last option, I'll go to numbers. Under category I'll select custom, and my type is going to be in terms of millions. There you go. Let me close this. I will just move this to the center. Alright. Now if you want, you can change the color of the text as well. So let's have it in white color and see how it looks. Okay, so this looks pretty decent. Cool. Now moving to our next report. So this time we are going to find the total revenue by countries. So we have multiple countries present in our data set. We want to visualize the revenue generated in each country. So for this we are going to create a horizontal bar chart. So let me show you how to do it. But before moving ahead, let me just rename this sheet. So I'll write revenue by, I'll just put OP, which stands for order priority. Alright, now let's create our horizontal bar chart. I'll go to insert, click on pivot table and select OK. So I want my revenue based on different countries, so I'll select country and put it under rows, and then I'll choose total revenue and place it under values. So here you have the different country names. We have Afghanistan, there's Albania. Let me scroll down. You have Bangladesh. There are a number of countries. You have Czech Republic, there's Estonia, France, Gabon. Similarly, if you scroll down, we have India, there's Jamaica, Italy, and all the way to the bottom if you go, we have New Zealand, there's Netherlands, Philippines, Portugal. We also have Singapore, lots and lots of countries. We have the UAE, United States of America, Zimbabwe, and others. Alright, let me go up. So based on this pivot table, let's create our pivot chart. So I'll go to insert and select recommended charts. From here I'm going to select the column chart. You can see the preview here, and let me click on OK. Alright, so here you can see the different country names at the bottom and the revenue for each of the countries. Let's go ahead and edit this chart. So first of all, I'll delete the field buttons. Okay, and let me also remove the legend. Here I'll write revenue by countries. This is going to be my chart title. Okay, let's format this chart a little more. So I'll click on this option and we'll select a new style. Let's say I'll select style 6. Okay, and let me now go under colors and we'll select the color of the bars. So let's choose this color. Okay, so you have a horizontal column chart ready, and at the bottom you can see the different country names and we have the revenue. Cool. Now let me go ahead and rename this sheet. So I'll write revenue by countries and hit enter. Okay, and finally we'll create another report which is going to be part of our revenue dashboard, and this is revenue by items. So we'll visualize our revenue for different items present in the table. So if you see this, we have cosmetics, vegetables, cereal, fruits, there's clothes, snacks, households, and other products as well. So let's check the revenue for each of these items. So we'll continue the same drill. I'll create my pivot table on a new worksheet, and this time I'm going to drag item type under rows and we'll have the total revenue under values. So here on the left of the table you can see we have the different item names and then we have the total revenue. So let me just sort this total revenue from largest to smallest. So you can see here office supplies made the highest amount of revenue, followed by household, then cosmetics, and fruits made the lowest amount of revenue. I'll click on this, go to insert and select recommended charts. This time I'm going to create a bar chart. So this is how my bar chart is going to look like. I'll select OK. Alright, now let's format this chart a bit. I'll delete the field buttons and I'll delete the legend as well. And let's edit the chart title. So this is going to be revenue by items. Cool. We also want to change the color of the bars. So I've selected all the bars. I'll go to my home tab and here let's say I want to select green color. Alright, I've edited my chart a bit. Now let's make it 14 and I'll remove the bold. Okay, here if you want you can change the font also. Let's keep it in blue color. Alright, finally let's rename this sheet. So I'll write revenue by items. Cool. Finally, now it's time for us to merge all the charts that we have created to our dashboard. So let me show you how you can create the dashboard. I'll create a new sheet, and first thing I'm going to do is I'll click on the view tab and uncheck grid lines. So this will remove the grid lines present in the worksheet. Next, I'm going to insert an image. So we'll have a background image on our dashboard. So the way to do is I'll go to the insert tab and under illustrations I have the option to select pictures or insert pictures. So I'm going to insert picture present on the device, that is my computer. I'll go to desktop and here I have a folder called Excel dashboard files, and I'll select this dashboard background and hit insert. So this is going to insert an image. Now let me just drag this image so it covers a fair enough portion. So I'll hit shift and I'll drag it. Alright, so you can see I have successfully added a background image. If you want you can still expand this background image a bit to the right. Cool. Now the next thing is going to be the title of the dashboard. So I'll click on insert and here I have the option to select a text box. So I'll click on a text box and I'm going to place a text box in the middle, and I'm going to name this text box as Excel Revenue Dashboard on sales. I'll centerline it. Let's do some more formatting. So I'll select this text box. On the top you can see shape format. Here I'm going to expand this shape fill and I'll select no fill. So my text box is transparent now, and I'll also remove the outline. Alright, now let me just double click on the title of my dashboard and I'm going to select a font. You can select whichever font you want. Let me stick to Britannica Bold and I'll increase the size to, let's say, 30. Alright, I'll just drag the text box. I'll make the text as white instead of black. Alright, so we have our title of the dashboard ready. Now if you want you can also insert some icons to this dashboard. So I'll go to insert and I'll click on illustrations again and select pictures. I'm going to add these two pictures, which is of a store and a cart, to make it look visually appealing. So I'll place the icons here, and similarly let me just copy it, and I'll place the cart and the store to the right as well. Alright, next the idea is to bring in all the charts that we have created and place it on the dashboard. So let me copy each of the charts and place it on the dashboard. So I'll hit Ctrl V to paste it, and we'll resize this as well. Alright. Similarly, let me bring in all the other charts as well. Alright, so now you can see I have added all my charts and graphs to this dashboard. So you can see here we have our line charts, our column charts, the combo charts, the pie chart, and others. Now let me go ahead and format these charts a little more. So you can see this looks a bit cluttered. So let's adjust the labels. Let me bring this down. Similarly, I'll bring 190 million a little below. Alright, this looks fine now. One more thing we are going to do is we'll remove the white background from each of the charts and make it transparent. So let me show you how to do it. So I'll select this chart, then I'll right click and go to Format Chart area. Here on the right you see we have an option called No Fill. So if I select No Fill, you can see the white background is gone now. Similarly, let me also remove the grid lines. So I'll select the grid lines and hit delete. So I've also removed the grid lines from here. Now let's also remove the white outline that we have. So I'll select this chart, go to Format, and here I'll go to Shape Outline and I'll select No Outline. You see this? So we have our total revenue by year, which is a line chart, and this is completely transparent now. Now what I'm going to do is I'll place this chart over a box. So I'll go to Insert, and in Insert we have the option to create a shape. So I'll click on Illustrations, and here I'll choose a shape, and let me select a rectangle. So I'll just create a rectangle here. Alright, and now what I'll do is I'll select this and bring this to front. I'll right click and choose Bring to Front, and I'll place this shape below it. Alright, now the next thing is to edit the shape. So first I'll change the color of this box. So let me select this blue color, and let me increase the transparency. So I'll right click and go to Format Shape. Here I'll increase the transparency. Let's keep it to 25%, or let's say 20%. Alright, next thing, we'll just convert all the font to white color, including the axis labels, the chart title. We'll also convert all the axis labels to white color so it looks better. Now we'll just adjust our chart over here. Next thing, let's just remove the outline. So I'll go to Shape Outline and I'll select No Outline. You see, we have now formatted our chart. Let's just pull this a little up. Alright, now we'll add this blue background to all the other charts. So we'll first add the background, make it transparent, and then we'll convert the font text to white color to make it more readable and visible. So For the time being, I'll just pause the video and come back again. Alright, so now you can see on your screens we have nicely formatted our dashboard. So I've added a few logos for each of the charts. You can see the logos here. So for revenue by countries, we have a globe. Then if you see here, this is kind of a map or a location. Similarly, we have all formatted the color of the bars. Then we have also formatted the labels in terms of millions. If you look on the y-axis, even the revenue for year and region are all formatted in terms of millions. If you want this, you can also format the total year by revenue in terms of millions. So the way to do is, you can select this graph, right click and go to format axis. Here if I scroll down, you have numbers, and under category I'll select custom. Then I'll select my type as this format, which is in millions, and you see here we have successfully formatted our y-axis labels. Alright, so the next thing is to add slicers and timelines to our dashboard. Now slicers are used to format your data based on a particular column. Suppose if you want to see revenue by certain items, you can add item as a slicer and you can view the entire dashboard. Similarly, for timelines you can add date columns. So if you want to see what was the amount of sales or revenue generated on a particular year or a particular month, you can do that using a timeline. So I'll select one of the charts, and then either you can go to the insert tab, and here you can see under filters we have slices and timeline, or if you go to the pivot chart analyze tab, here also you have insert slicer and timeline option. So I'll select insert slicer here first. Now it's giving me the list of fields present in the dataset. So I'll select country, region, and let's say we want to know by item type and sales channel. So these are going to be my 4 slicers. I'll click on OK. You can see it here. We have our 4 slicers here, and these are the list of values. So under region we have Asia, this Europe, North America and others. Similarly, we have the different country names for country slicers, and then for item type also we have all the items that were present in our dataset. Now moving ahead, we need to connect all the slicers to a dashboard. So what I'll do is I'll right click on this option and I'll go to report connections. Okay, so under report connections you have all the pivot tables that we created. You currently see only one of the pivot table is selected, so we need to select all the pivot tables. So let me check all the pivot tables present in this workbook and click on OK. Alright, now that we have connected one of our slicers, we'll now connect the other remaining slicers. So I'll right click on this, go to report connections, and I'll check all the pivot tables present in this worksheet. Click on OK. Similarly, let's do it for the country slicer. I'll go to report connections and let me select all the pivot tables. And finally, we have the item type. So I'll right click, go to report connections, and then I'll select all my pivot tables. And let's hit OK. Alright, now let me just organize this a bit. So I'll place my pivot tables to the right. I'll just reduce the size. Let me scroll down. Now I'll add my region slicer here. Similarly, I'll add my final slicer, that is sales channel. Now in our next dashboard, which is going to be the profit dashboard, I'll show you how to add a timeline. Alright, now I have arranged all my slicers. So let's say you want to find the revenue that was generated for an item type, let's say beverages. So you can just select beverages here, and all your charts show the respective revenues. So you have the total revenue by year for beverages only. Similarly, here you can see the revenue by year and region only for beverages item type. If I scroll down, now this chart represents the revenue that was generated in each of the countries only for item type beverages. Let me just uncheck it. Alright, let's say you want to see the revenue generated for a country like India. So I have selected India here, and now you can see my graph has changed only for country India. You can see here it is showing only for India now. Now similarly, you can also filter your revenues based on the different regions. Let's say you want to know the revenue generated based on sales channels. So we have two sales channels, that is offline and online. Suppose you want to know the revenue generated offline, so I'll just select offline. You can see the values have changed. So these were the revenues generated for each of the items only for this is our entire Excel revenue dashboard on sales. We created multiple charts and graphs, then we applied different formatting, we added different icons, then we formatted the labels also. Next we added slicers, and finally we saw how we could filter our data based on these slicers. Likewise, now we are going to create a profit dashboard based on the same data. So before moving ahead, let me rename this sheet as revenue dashboard. I'll write REV dashboard. Okay. Now we'll move to our data sheet and start creating our pivot tables and pivot charts for the profit dashboard. Alright, so let me go ahead and create my first pivot table. So I'll create a new worksheet. This time I'm going to create a line chart to visualize the profit for each year. So I'll drag my total profit column to values and my order year to rows. So here you can see we have our pivot table ready. Now you can sort this data to get an idea as to which year had the highest profit and which year had the lowest profit. So from this pivot table you can see, since I've sorted this data in descending order, so 2014 had the maximum amount of profit and 2017 had the least amount of profit. I'll just do Control Z to undo it. Alright, now based on this pivot table, let me go ahead and create my pivot chart. So I'll go to recommended charts and click on a line chart. So this is the preview of the chart. I'll click on OK. Let me close this. Similarly, we are going to edit this chart now. So first I'll hide all the field buttons present on the chart, and I'll rename the chart title as total profit by year. Next I'm going to remove the legend, so I'll delete this. Let's do some more formatting. So I'll go to style, and this time I'm going to select my style type. Okay, and if you want you can choose the colors as well. For the time being, let's have this yellow color. Next let me add the data labels. So again, if you see here, this is not formatted properly, so let's go ahead and format the data labels. So I'll click on number and I'll select custom here, and the type I'm going to select is in millions, and I'll click on close. So here you can see we have our line chart ready which shows total profit by year. Let's rename this sheet as profit by year. Alright, now let's move back to our data sheet again. Next, we are going to show the total profit by countries. For this I'm going to create a map. So let me first create my pivot table. So I'll go to insert and I'll click on pivot table. Let me click on OK. Since I want the country names, so I'll select country under rows, and then I have my total profit under values. The next thing I'm going to do is I'll just rename the row labels as countries, and then I'm going to delete the grand total which you can see at the bottom. So here we have the grand total. Let me just delete the grand total. So I'm going to select this pivot table, go to the design tab. Here we have subtotals and grand totals. I'll switch off the grand total. Let me just verify it again. I'll scroll down. You see the grand total has gone now. Alright, now we want to create a map out of this. The way to do is I'm going to select my data, copy it, I'll go on top and I'll paste it here. Using this data I can create my field map now. So I'll go to insert. Here we have the option to create a field map. There you go. You can see we have our map ready. I can expand this. Now as you can see, our map has a color scale which comes from light gray color to dark blue color. So the countries that are in gray, or you can say light blue, have the lowest amount of profit, while the regions or the countries that have been shaded in dark color or dark blue color have highest amount of profit. I will go ahead and delete this scale. Okay. Next, we need to connect this map to the original data source. So what I'll do is I'll right click on this map and I'll go to select data. Here instead of the previous range, I'll give my new range now. So my new range will be my original pivot table that I had created. I'll go on top and click on OK. So we have our map ready now. Now if you want, you can change the color of the shade. So I'll just go to colors and let's say we'll keep green color. So the countries that are shaded in dark green have the highest amount of profit, while those which are highlighted in light green color are the countries that made least amount of profit. Okay, now moving on. Next, we want to create a pivot table that will show us the profit by year and sales channel. So for this we are going to create another line chart. So I'll go to insert and click on pivot table. So I'll select new worksheet. Here, since I want to know the profit by year, first of all I'll drag my order year column to rows, and then I'll choose my total profit column under values. Next, I'm going to select my sales channel under columns. There you go. So we have our pivot table here. Based on this pivot table, let me create my pivot chart. So I'll go to recommended charts and I'm going to create a line chart. I close this. You see here, based on this chart, you can tell the profit generated with online sales were actually lower than that of offline. So here the blue line represents offline profit and the orange line represents online profit. If you mark clearly, in year 2012 the online profit was actually higher than the offline profit. So let me go ahead and edit this chart a bit. So we'll delete the field buttons. I'll also delete the legend for now. Let me go ahead and add a chart title. So I'll write profit by year and sales channel. Okay, so this is my second report. Before moving ahead, let me just rename this sheet. So I'll write profit by countries. Similarly, let me rename this sheet as profit by year and let's say SC for sales channel. Okay, moving ahead. Now I want to create a pie chart based on a pivot table that will show the profit by sales channel only. So this is going to be a simple pie chart. So I'll first go to insert, click on pivot table and click on OK. So I'll drag my sales channel under rows and then we'll have the total profit column under values. So this is my simple pivot table. Now let's create our pivot chart, which is going to be a pie chart. Let me explore the other types of pie charts we have. Okay, so I'm going to select a donut chart here. I'll click on OK. Let's edit this chart. I'll remove the field buttons. Let me now remove the legend as well. I'll just resize it. And this is going to be profit by sales channel. Okay. Let's also add data labels. And here again, I'm going to format this label. I'll select the category as custom and my type will be in millions. Okay, let me just move this to the left and this to the right. Okay, let's also delete the lines. Cool. Now let me just rename this sheet. So I'll write profit by, let's say SC, which stands for sales channel. Cool. Finally, I'm going to create a report that will show the revenue and profit by items. So I'll go ahead and create my pivot table first. This time I'll choose my total profit under values and we'll also have the revenue column. So I'll put my revenue at the top. Then I'm going to select item type under rows. So here is my pivot table. Based on this pivot table, let me now create a combo chart. So you can see the preview of the chart. The blue bars represent the total revenue and the orange line represents the total profit. I'll click on OK. Let me close this. First, let's remove the field buttons. Let's also remove the legend here. Then we'll add a chart title. I'll name it as revenue and profit by items. Okay. If you want, you can also go ahead and change the color of the bars. So let me just select one of these colors. Okay. All right. So we have our 5 reports ready that we are going to use for our profit dashboard. Next, let's create a new sheet and we'll get started with building our dashboard. So I'll click on a new sheet. Let me just rename this as profit dashboard. All right. We'll continue with the previous drill. So first of all, let's go to the view tab and remove the grid lines. Now we'll insert a background image like we did for our revenue dashboard. So I'll go to insert. Under illustrations, I'll click on pictures and select this device. I'm going to have the same background. I'll click on insert. Alright, so you can see we have a picture of a company, or you can say an organization. Let's just drag this a bit to the right. We'll adjust the size also. Alright. Now let's copy the title of my profit dashboard. So here you can see I have brought my revenue dashboard, and I'll copy the title and the logos that we used for the revenue dashboard. I'll paste it on my new dashboard. Let's just align it in the center. Alright. The next step, let me now go ahead and edit the title. So this is actually going to be Excel profit dashboard instead of revenue. Now we'll copy each of the charts that we just created. For example, the revenue and profit by items, then we had profit by sales channel. All this we are going to copy one by one and put it on the profit dashboard. So let me just copy a few now. I'll paste it here, and later on we can make the adjustment. I'll copy this as well. Similarly, I'll bring the other three charts onto my sales dashboard. Okay, so here on my profit dashboard I have added all the charts and have aligned and reshaped it so that it looks good. I have also made some formatting. For example, I have reduced the size of the chart title. Now let me go ahead and show you a few more formatting that we also did for the revenue dashboard. First, let's remove the white background from all the charts. So I'll select the first chart, I'll right click and I'll click on format chart area. Here under fill I'll select no fill. Next I'm going to remove the grid lines, so I'll just delete it. Let me close this. Now we also have a outline, so I'll go to design, actually format, and I'll remove the outline. Next I'm going to add a blue box at the back like how we did for the revenue dashboard. So let me select a blue box from here and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, now let me just select the chart and I'll bring this to front and I'll move this to the back. Next I'm going to change the font color all to white so that it's clearly visible and it's more readable. I'll do it for the x-axis as well. Okay, so here I have my first chart ready. The same I'm going to do for the rest of the charts. Okay, so now you can see here I have formatted all my charts. I have also added a blue background. You see here I have also formatted the Y labels in terms of millions, which is actually the profit. Similarly here I have added the data labels. This is for revenue. Some of the charts also have the data legends. So here you can see the blue color represents offline and the red represents online. Similarly here you have the legends. I've also formatted the map as well. Okay, now the next thing is to make this dashboard more interactive. So we'll add our slicers as well as timeline. First, let me show you how to add a timeline. So I'll select one of the charts and I'll go to insert. Under insert, I have the option to create a timeline. So I'll just click on timelines. So timeline is actually based on date columns. So since in our dataset we only have two date columns, one is order date and one is ship date. So Excel has only shown us two columns. So I'm going to create my timeline based on order date. So I'll select my order date column and I'll click on OK. You can see here this is called a timeline. I can expand this. Now this timeline is based on months now. If I scroll this timeline, you can see here I have my order year 2010 and I have all the 12 months. Similarly we have for 2011, then we have for 2012 all the way till 2017. Now you can filter this in terms of years, quarters, months or days. Let me just select year now. So I have years from 2010 till 2017. Let me just squeeze this and I'll place it somewhere here on the right. Now let me go ahead and create a few slicers for my profit dashboard. So I have selected one of the charts. Under insert, I'll click on slicer. You can see it gives me the list of columns from which I want to create slicers. So I'll create a region. Let me also select country. Let's say I want the representative's name or the customer's name, and I'll click on OK. So here I have created 3 slicers. Let me first resize it and I'll place it on the right. Similarly, I'll place the country column also. Then we have the region slicer. I'll resize this and I'll bring it here. Okay. The next thing we need to do is I have to connect all the slicers and the timeline to the pivot tables for the profit dashboard. So I'm going to click on the multiple select option and go to report connections. Here I'm going to select all the pivot tables that are related to profit. So here I have selected 4 and I need one more, which is pivot table number 10. I click on OK. Similarly, let's create or connect my region filter to all the pivot tables. So I right click, go to report connections. Here I'll choose all my pivot tables which are based on profit. I'll click on OK. Let's do it for the country slicer as well. I click on OK, and similarly I'll connect my timeline as well. I'll go to report connections and I'll select all the pivot tables related to profit. Then I'll click on OK. Let me now go ahead and create another slicer based on sales channel. So I'm selecting one of the pivot charts. I'll go to insert, click on slicer, and I'll select sales channel and hit OK. So I have my sales channel slicer. Now let me connect it to all the respective pivot tables that are based on profit. Click on OK. Now let me just bring it here. Alright. The next thing I want to show is how are we going to use the timeline first. So you see we have all the years here from 2010 till 2017. Now suppose you want to know the profit that was generated in the year 2012. So I'll just click on this range and now you can see our charts only show information for 2012. So this dot represents there was 51 million profit in the year 2012. Similarly, you can see here the profit by sales channel for 2012. From the map you can see the different countries and the profit each of these countries made in 2012. If I scroll down, you can see the revenue and profit by items. Now if I select another year, let's say 2013, I can just drag this to the right and now you can see our profit by year and sales channel for offline and online. You can see the map or the line chart for total profit by year. So in 2012 it was 51 million and then it went up to 54 million in 2013. Similarly, our map has also changed. Now this is a sort of an information that we have. You can click on this and check the information that Excel has prompted. Alright, so this is how you can use a timeline. Now as I said, we checked by years. You can also see it for months and quarters as well. Let me just uncheck it. I'll send it back to the place where it was, and I'll reduce the size. Okay. Now suppose you want to check the profit made by different representatives. You can select them one by one. Let's say Adam Churchill. This is the profit generated by Adam Churchill. Similarly, you can select multiple persons as well. Now suppose you want to see the profit by different countries, so you can use the country slicer. Let me just bring this to the middle and let's expand our chart a bit. Okay, so here you have the profit by different countries chart. I'll just bring this to the front so that you can see it clearly. Okay, now here suppose you want to see the profit generated in, let's say, United Kingdom. You can select United Kingdom. So this is the map of United Kingdom and it tells you the total profit that was generated in United Kingdom, and below you can see the revenue and profit for all the items that was sold in United Kingdom. So you had beverages, clothes, household, office supplies. So you can see clearly office supplies item made the highest amount of profit in United Kingdom. Now you can also select multiple countries. Let's say I want to know for France as well. So my map will change accordingly. So now I have United Kingdom and France selected, and the other charts present in my dashboard change accordingly. Now I have my country selected as India. You can see the map of India here, and these were the respective profit values. Now one thing to note here is this is actually not millions. That should be in K, that is thousands. So please mark this as 1000 and not in millions. Even for this is actually K and not million. Alright, so we have successfully created our second dashboard, that is on profit. Let me just resize this a bit and we'll place it where it was earlier. Cool. So we saw how to create different pivot tables and pivot charts, and then we formatted our pivot charts based on our requirement. We saw how to edit the colors. Now let me show you one more thing. You can also change the look and feel of the dashboard by going to the page layout tab. Under page layout you have themes. So here you can select different themes. Currently we are with the office theme. Now let me just select another theme, let's say Facet. You see the colors have changed and it looks really beautiful. Similarly, let me try out another theme, let's say organic. You see our chart has changed. Let me just delete this. Okay, so now once you change the theme, the text also change a bit. You can see the slicers are in a different font. Let me explore one more theme. Let's say this time I'm going to choose depth, and this is more of a green type of color. You can play around and select whatever theme suits the best. Alright. Now let me just move back to my revenue dashboard and see how it looks. There you go. So since we changed our theme, even our revenue dashboard is also impacted. So this is how it looks now. You can always go ahead and play with different themes, colors, fonts and effects. Alright, so in this demo we saw how to create a revenue dashboard. So we created line charts, this combo chart, pie chart, horizontal and vertical bar charts, and then we learned how to add slicers and connect it to different pivot tables, and we filtered our data to see revenue as well as profit by items, by countries, by different regions, sales channel. We learned how to create a map and lots more.
We are glad that you enjoyed this free course so far. Thank you and happy